HeatherBArmstrong, The Valedictorian of Being Dead, The True Story of Dying 10 Times to Live. Dive into the riveting true story of HeatherBArmstrong, who undergoes a groundbreaking experimental treatment to overcome her severe depression in The Valedictorian of Being Dead, The True Story of Dying 10 Times to Live. As a single mother grappling with the demands of raising two young daughters and battling her inner demons, Heather embarks on a journey that involves temporarily dying 10 times to escape the clutches of mental illness. This book summary offers insights into Heather's life, the significance of the treatment, and the impact of her experiences on her relationships and beliefs.
Overcoming depression. HeatherBArmstrong's struggle with depression began after divorcing her husband and dealing with the responsibilities of single motherhood. As a result, she spent 18 months in the grip of a severe depressive episode. Every day she woke up feeling anxious about accomplishing tasks and faced the tormenting voice of being a terrible mother. Her depression sapped all her energy, leaving her unable to take care of herself. Her psychiatrist, Dr. Bushnell, recognized that she needed a change and suggested something unexpected. The groundbreaking cure. Heather, a mentally ill patient, agrees to participate in a new experimental treatment for depression. 10 temporary deaths, induced by an anesthetic, are used to reset brain activity in hopes of curing depression without the harmful side effects of electroconvulsive therapy. Heather had been feeling utterly worthless for the past 18 months, making her the perfect candidate for a groundbreaking experimental treatment for depression. Dr. Bushnell and his colleagues were conducting research into a new cure for the illness, and Heather's advanced condition made her an asset to the study. But this treatment was far from ordinary and required Heather to temporarily die 10 times over several weeks by being put into a deep coma using an anesthetic called propofol. The doctors hoped that by suppressing her brain's electrical activity almost to the point of brain death, it would reset itself and cure her depression. This approach, similar to electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, was proven to work but came with severe side effects such as migraines and irreversible loss of memory. Hence, the anesthesia was considered a better alternative as a relief method to ECT. Despite initial hesitation, Heather agreed to the treatment and underwent it successfully. The treatment showed promising results and, without the harmful side effects of ECT, could be a groundbreaking cure for depression. Heather's traumatic anesthesia experience. Heather, following instructions, fasted for 20 hours before her first anesthesia appointment. The anesthetic needle was larger than normal and inserted with difficulty, leaving severe bruising. Heather was given a deep coma-inducing anesthetic with additional monitoring of brain activity. However, Heather suffered terrifying hallucinations before eventually falling unconscious. Upon waking, she discovered that the fentanyl drug wasn't effective for her, causing a disturbing headache. Heather later found out that she is among just 4% of people for whom fentanyl causes delusions. Heather's struggle with depression. Heather's battle with depression began 18 months ago, but she had sporadic anxiety and sadness ever since childhood. Despite pushing herself to be the best and always aiming for perfection, Heather dropped out of college due to the overwhelming anxiety and pressure. Her strict Mormon upbringing may have contributed to her valedictorian urge, with high expectations and severe punishment for mistakes. Her father was an intimidating presence, and her brother also suffered from severe depression as an adult. Heather's first treatment was horrific, but she pushed through and reflected on the roots of her depression. When depressed, her mind always went straight to the worst-case scenario. Overcoming depression through ketamine treatment. Heather, the protagonist, had been suffering from depression for over a year with no care for her appearances. After her 5th ketamine treatment session, she began to feel near-instant relief from depressive thoughts and a surge of energy. Heather gradually felt more alive, connected with her friend, and began to appreciate music. Her final session left her devoid of any depressive thoughts and feeling happier. The ketamine treatment helped Heather manage her depression and increased her quality of life. Heather's battle with depression. Heather's journey to mental wellness was not easy. With her parents' relationship being an important source of her reflections, things were complicated by her father's skepticism towards mental health issues. As Heather's depression began to ease, she discovered the crucial support she received from her mother and stepfather, who stood by her throughout her treatment. From driving her to the hospital to help with her kids, they took care of everything. Also, Heather's relationship with her stepfather deepened, and this made her reflect on her estranged connection with her real father. Heather's real father was unsupportive when it came to her depression. When she dropped out of college due to her mental health problems, he didn't hesitate to scold her, telling her to snap out of it. He didn't believe in depression. Her father grew up in a harsh neighborhood in Kentucky and had taken great pains to become a successful manager at IBM. His "you can overcome hardship, the rest of the family should too" attitude didn't leave room for the mental challenges Heather was facing. Her father's attitude was an iceberg. He not only disliked that Heather claimed to have depression, but he found it weak when his son also claimed to be suffering from sadness. Despite everything, Heather's father didn't believe that the brain could become ill the same way the body could, typical of people skeptical about mental illness. However, during one of her treatment sessions, her father was present when she went under anesthesia. When Heather regained consciousness, she saw both of her parents watching her, but unfortunately, her father didn't offer any consolation, leaving Heather disappointed. Nonetheless, she learned that her father had spent an hour stroking her forehead before she awoke. Some people find it hard to put their empathy into words, it seems. Heather's miraculous recovery. Heather shares her experience with depression and recovery in her book. Her recovery was attributed to an experimental treatment, but the lead researcher is cautious about its effects. Still, Heather's recovery gave her a new lease on life and a desire to encourage others struggling with depression and anxiety to reach out for help. HeatherBArmstrong suffered from depression that led her to contemplate suicide. After undergoing experimental treatment, Heather's 10 near-death experiences haven't resurfaced, and she no longer wants to die. To share her experiences, Heather wrote a book to emphasize how significant it is for individuals, particularly single mothers, to understand what it's like to experience depression. Heather's depression led her to isolate herself from her psychiatrist for fear of being labeled an unfit mother and losing custody of her children. Her book urges individuals to be courageous and seek assistance, even when they fear losing their children. Despite her miraculous improvement, Dr. Mickey, the lead researcher on the experiment, takes a cautious stance on the effectiveness of the experimental treatment. He suggests that Heather's depression would have naturally ended and the attention and care she received from her loved ones during the sessions may have contributed to the positive outcome. Regardless of the cause of her recovery, Heather's book encourages readers struggling with depression and anxiety to seek help and not to give up. It all begins by having the courage to ask for help and get treated. Heather's experience gives hope to others, and her recovery gave her a new perspective on life.
HeatherBArmstrong's life-changing journey in The Valedictorian of Being Dead offers a powerful testament to the importance of seeking help and understanding the depth of mental illness, especially for single parents in similar situations. The innovative treatment Heather undergoes and the subsequent developments in her life demonstrate the potential for hope and recovery. Her newfound motivation to share her story and the unwavering support of her family and friends emphasize the need for empathy, awareness, and the openness to explore new avenues for healing. Heather's message encourages everyone in the clutch of depression and anxiety to reach out, ask for help, and believe in a better tomorrow.